Gotta love it. Love it when you've been talking to yourself for 10 minutes. Well, I tell you, the fun of doing things online. We're doing things live, okay? So this is how it rolls sometimes. Hello everyone. Good day, good evening. Thank you for joining tonight's webinar. I'm glad you're here tonight. I'm here. Yes. And if you've been watching Arizona home prices, interest rates, and wondering, is now the right time to buy? And is now finally my time to buy? This webinar is for you. Tonight, I'll show you how to buy smart in Arizona in today's 2025 housing market and why this year might be your hidden opportunity. So here's my question for you guys right now. I'm curious, who am I speaking to? Who's out there tonight? All right. Are you in Arizona? If so, which part? Or are you out of state? And if so, where? Right? Let me know also, are you listening live or are you listening to a replay? Yes, there will be a replay. Be sure to comment in the chat. Curious, just curious. It will help know how to market in the future. So feel free to put that in the chat. Where are we at? Mesa. Okay. Connecticut. Yes, small but mighty. Where in Connecticut are you listening from? Washington. Okay. Is that DC or Washington State? Curious. Dallas. All right. Scottsdale. Prescott. Okay. Tucson. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Thank you for joining tonight. Now, my name is Natasha Tomlinson. I don't know who that chick is in the slide, but I'm Natasha Tomlinson. I've been licensed in 2005. During that time, I've had the pleasure of helping, buyers, sellers, investors with their real estate needs in the greater Phoenix metro area. So I've seen different types of markets, right? There's been ups, there've been downs, there've been bidding wars and market shifts and moments when smart buyers got amazing deals while others decided to sit by the sidelines. And I don't say that lightly, right? Sitting by the sidelines, waiting, watching other people take advantage of the market. But looking back, that's a bit of what it was. I can look back myself and see I was aware of different opportunities that I didn't or couldn't take advantage of at the time because I wasn't ready. I remember those 10, 20, 30, $40,000 condos. And man, had I bought those then, boy, it would be a different story today. Or this triplex that I had my eye on. It needed a lot of work from what I remember. I mean, it needed everything. People were living in it and there was just fear. There was fear of the unknown around that, right? How would I behave as a landlord? Could I take on that responsibility? What happened when repairs came about? Who was going to do those? I'm not exactly, I mean, I can do some things, but I'm limited in that scope. So, where is the money coming from for those sorts of things? More questions than answers at that time. And I missed those opportunities because I decided not to investigate further. I decided to try and do things on my own. A lot of decisions that happened that led to missing those opportunities. So today I ask you, which side will you be on? Will you miss the opportunities that exist today, or will you take advantage? So today, whether you are a first-time home buyer, you're relocating, you're self-employed, you're a veteran, you're downsizing, my goal here tonight with tonight's webinar is really to help you feel informed, confident, and ready to make your next move. Tonight, we'll cover the following things, right? What is really happening in Arizona's housing market today? Why buyers have leverage today versus the last few years? How to buy smart, even with rates still bouncing around, and the biggest mistakes to avoid when purchasing real estate. And finally, how to work together to create that custom home buying plan. By the end of tonight, you'll know exactly what steps to take next, and you can even schedule your free strategy session with me while we're still live, right? No obligation. We'll just review where you're at, what your goals are, and see if it makes sense to work together. The links in the chat, or go to Calendly/Natasha Tomlinson, right? It's a mouthful, but you'll get there. So I just want to talk a little bit about a few elephants in the room, okay? And no, we're not going to discuss politics here tonight. But what we will discuss, okay, let's see. Yes? Yes? Okay, great. Make sure you guys can hear me because it's no fun if you can't. We will talk about the few articles and headlines that we've heard. Let's talk about the word that gets thrown around a lot during market shifts, and that is foreclosure, right? Yes, we're seeing more pre-foreclosures and notices of defaults than we did a year ago and than we did the year before that. And there's reason for that. We had moratoriums in place, and so a lot of foreclosures just didn't happen. And people went through, a loss mitigation program. And so they stretched out those timelines post-COVID. A lot of those timelines have now expired. And so in the short term, we will see an uptick in a number of people who are in pre-foreclosure. And depending on whether they take advantage of the options available to them or not, possibly could end up in foreclosure. But let's keep things in perspective, okay? Because we always look back to 2008, which is the most recent crash that we had. Well, back in 2008, where system was broken from the inside out. Anyone with a pulse could get a loan. No income verification, no real down payment needed. Teaser rates and teaser loans and adjustable rate mortgages that doubled overnight. Fog a mirror, you get a loan, you get a loan, you get a loan. That crash was built on risky lending, not just a housing cycle. So when we fast forward to today, we fast forward to 2025, and we're in a different world. Today's home buyer cannot just fog a mirror and get approved. Every borrower goes through income verification, credit checks, debt to income analysis, appraisal reviews. Most loans today are fixed rate and fully documented. That means the people who own the homes right now are financially stronger with more equity and stability than we have seen in quite some time. Now, we do have homeowners out there struggling, often because of a job loss, divorce, medical issues, things of that nature, some life event, but not because of reckless lending. Many of these homeowners still have options before foreclosures. And if you happen to be in that situation, you're on the call tonight, please be sure to schedule a call with me so we can review your options. And some of those options are loan modifications, foreclosure, forbearance extensions, seller financing, wraps, renting out the program, the home, number of options that allow you to sell before destroying your credit. In 2008, people owed far more than their property was worth. And in 2025, most homeowners, they have equity, even if they're behind on payments. And that changes everything. Even if they fall behind, they can sell. It's an option to sell and then walk away with cash in hand, not a foreclosure on their record. So, no, this is not 2008. Today's market is a correction, not a collapse. And for buyers, that means opportunity. More listings available, more homes for sale, motivated sellers, and the chance to negotiate favorable terms that simply didn't exist a few years ago. What's really going on in today's housing market today, October 22nd, 2025? For the first time in years, buyers, again, you have options. Inventory is up. Sellers are offering concessions, opportunities to buy down your interest rate. Prices have leveled off in many cities. We're seeing balance and in many areas, buyer favorable market conditions. And this means asking for closing costs, negotiating repairs, taking time not to just find any home, but to find the right home that fits your lifestyle. Last month alone, over 40% of all homes that closed had some form of seller concessions. And that's something we have not seen that magnitude in a number of years. If you've been waiting for prices to drop or rates to fall, you're missing the window that's open right now. It's not about timing the market, it's about understanding your options. Now, rates are the talk of the town. The first thing, how's the market? What's the rate? How's the market? What's the rate? Now, when rates dip, even 0.5%, buyers demand it jumps up and prices definitely stabilize and start to uptake. That means if you're ready today, locking in a home before the next rate drop could save you thousands long term. And if rates drop after you buy, remember refinancing is an option. You can't go back and get that home at today's price. Let's talk about, again, one of the biggest questions that many people have. What's going on with interest rates? It's a very popular question. You know, the holidays will be here before we know it. And people will be talking about the housing market and interest rates and the rate that they got just after the pandemic and where rates jumped up to, which they were near 8%. And now they've definitely come down. I mean, I saw an advertisement from a new home subdivision. One had rates in the fours. One had a limited time rate at 1.99%. Yeah, that'll get you excited. Okay. And you may have seen some of these headlines too, saying rates are dropped again, or your friend is bragging about the rate that they locked in at 4.99%. Well, another got quoted a 7.5% rate. So, what's the deal? Why so much variation? The truth is, your interest rate, it's pretty personal. It's not a one size fits all number. Lenders look at many factors, but we're going to review the main four to help decide what your rate is. One would be your credit score. Let's make sure. Are we yes, no, maybe? Nope. Okay. Yeah. One would be your credit score. Your credit score is your financial report card. Okay. The higher your score, the less risk you are to the lender. That's how it's perceived. And the lower your interest rate could be. And someone, say, with a 780 credit score will almost always get a better rate than someone with a 620, right? Another factor is income. Lenders want to see your income is stable and consistent. They'll review your job history, your pay stubs, tax returns, and if you're self-employed, your business income and your deductions. And more consistent your income looks, which is always a challenge for the self-employed, the safer you appear to the lender. The lender will also review your debt. They will look at your DTI, your debt to income ratio. Basically, how much your monthly income goes towards paying down debt. The lower your DTI, your debt to income ratio, the better your interest rate could be. Lenders like to see that you're not stretched too thin. If you're stretched too thin with your existing debt, credit card debt, car loans, credit card loans, medical debt, right? Then we're not going to add a house on top of that and further exasperate your budget. Number four, not to say that you couldn't qualify for those things, but the income, like we said, the DTI is very crucial in those moments. Collateral, the home, the property you're buying, also it plays a part, right? The lender feels more comfortable with a home that is in solid, move-in ready condition in a stable neighborhood than one that needs major repairs in a declining market. So, all right, why such a difference in rates? Why do these rates fluctuate so much? Here's something most people just don't realize. Rates can change multiple times a day. They move up or down based on a big picture, so big economic factors, right? And all the things you've heard in the news: inflation, bond yields, tariffs, Federal Reserve policy. And when inflation cools or the Federal Reserve, the Fed, hints at a rate cut, mortgage rates usually dip. There's not a direct correlation, but they do influence each other. When inflation rises or economic data comes in stronger than expected, rates tend to climb. And that's why you'll hear lenders say the rate is only as good until 5 p.m. They literally can change by the hour. So right now, we're seeing some of the lowest rates in the last 12 months. And that's bringing a lot of buyer activity back to the market. We're seeing an increase in mortgage applications. Now, will that translate to sales? Time will tell. So, but people are planning, they're making moves, and I invite you to do the same. Now, how are these builders offering lower interest rates? Now, you've probably seen the ads claiming rates as low as 4.9%. The one I saw today, rates as low as 1.99%, and wondering, how are they doing that? There's a silly secret. It's builder incentives. Builders often partner with preferred lenders and use part of their marketing budget to buy down your interest rate. That might prepay several years of interest or permanently lower the rate by using their own funds as credit. It's like this. Instead of dropping the price by $10,000, the builder uses the same $10,000 to get you a significantly lower rate, which reduces your monthly payment and makes the home easier to sell. It's a win-win. The builder moves the inventory, they sell houses, and you get a payment that feels more like yesterday, like 2021. Right? Now that you understand a little bit better about how rates work and what influences the number that you're quoted, let's talk about how you use that to your advantage. But here's the thing. Today's buyer, actually you have leverage again, right? Like you didn't post-pandemic, that's for sure. And even up until that, you really didn't have much in the way of leverage. But there seems to be, there's definitely, we're in a buyer's market, and in many areas the buyers tend to have the upper hand. And that means you don't just have to accept what's offered, negotiate for certain things, negotiate possibly on price, on concessions, ask the seller to help cover your closing costs, get credits for repairs or credits, or even work with a lender that will help buy down your interest rate. And not, different lenders offer different programs. So it's important to really shop around. This is where smart strategy matters and where having the right agent on your side can make quite a bit of difference, right? Those relationships matter. So let's dive into, negotiating like a pro, right? What seller concessions really mean for your bottom line and how to make sure that you walk away from the closing table, feeling like you won a little bit, right? Putting a little pep in your step as you walk away from the closing table into your new home. Let's talk about how buyers are winning right now. And that's all about negotiation power. In the first time in years, Arizona homeowners can negotiate again. During the pandemic boom, sellers called all the shots. Homes were selling in 24 hours, multiple offers, bidding wars, buyers waiving inspections and appraisals and various contingencies. It felt a little chaotic. But that's not the market that we're in today. The market has shifted towards balance, and in many parts of the greater Phoenix metro area, it has shifted to a buyer's market, largely in those areas with both resale and new construction, right? So there's an abundance of inventory. And that means homes are staying on the market longer. Sellers are a little more willing to make deals happen. So, according to recent data from the Arizona Regional Multiple Listing Service, MLS, about 54% of all home sales this quarter included some form of seller concession. And that concession is around $10,000. That's real money. Okay. Now it makes more of a difference in payment to the buyer, reducing giving them concessions versus just reducing the price on the home $10,000. That money can help them buy down their interest rate. It can help cover closing costs. It can cover some prepaid expenses. Prepaid insurance may be a requirement of some buyers' loans, or maybe even some home repairs, depending on the condition of the home. If there's something needed in order to satisfy a financing requirement. And let's break that down a little bit, give you a bit of an example so maybe you have greater understanding. If you're purchasing a home, just to make numbers easy, a $400,000 home, and you negotiate $10,000 in seller concession, that means that seller is covering your closing costs, or your lender can use that money to buy down your interest rate. Okay. That's what's the 2-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down. You may have heard that. That's where that factors in. And that makes a huge difference in affordability. And here's the best part. You don't have to be the toughest negotiator to ever live to benefit from it. You just need an agent who knows how to position your offer strategically. Sellers right now, they're more motivated than they have been, but they're also cautious. They strong, serious buyer, someone who is actually going to get the deal done, get it closed. And that's why having that pre-approval letter ready, up to date, understanding your loan type, keeping your offer clean but flexible makes a world of difference. Remember, negotiation doesn't stop when your offer is accepted. You also have inspections. There's an opportunity possibly for credits or repairs there if other issues come up that people weren't aware of. So let me tell you a bit of a story. A client of mine, past client, they bought a home in Avondale. And the inspection revealed some wear, right? There were issues with the HVAC system. There were some wear on the roof. We have monsoon season here, and, nothing lasts forever. So there were some things that needed to be done with the roof. And there were about $6,500 worth of repairs between those two items. And instead of walking away or demanding everything be fixed, we asked for a $7,000 seller credit towards closing costs. The seller agreed, and it was a win-win because the buyer closed on time. We didn't have to wait for those repairs to be done. We didn't have to, who did the repairs? Did a contractor do the repair? Did the seller do the repair? Are they up to par? so many questions arise. So it was more helpful to the buyer to get the seller credit, and we didn't have to ask for an extension on closing costs or wait for a contractor to come out and get the work done and deal with that time schedule as well. That's what a smart negotiation looks like in today's market. You don't have to fight. You don't have to put your gloves on. You just have to communicate effectively and structure the deal so that it creates a win-win situation for parties involved. If you're thinking of buying soon, that's exactly the kind of insight we'll go over together during that free 15-minute consultation. We'll review your goals, your price range, and your financing options so you can move forward with confidence. No obligation, no pressure, just clarity. If you're renting right now, imagine owning the same home for a lower monthly cost and building equity every month instead of paying someone else's mortgage. That's the power of smart buying. Here we go. Now let's dive into something that doesn't get talked about enough, right? Special buyer opportunities. Okay. Yes. I know what I did with my water. Because here's the truth, not all buyers fit neatly into the same financial box. Okay. Not everyone is a W-2 employee that's worked at the same job for 5 to 10, 15 years and, has steady payment increases, and everything can be easily documented and tax returns can be pulled easily, and has low debt. And there's everyone's a little different. Maybe you yourself are self-employed. Maybe you're a veteran. Maybe you're relocating to Arizona for work, as many are. Or maybe you're ready to retire. You're ready to just downsize. Whatever your situation, there are real paths forward for you in this market. So let's talk about the self-employed buyer. The entrepreneur, the small business owner, the 1099 earner. You work hard. You might earn great income. But when it comes to getting approved for a traditional mortgage and going the FHA or conventional route, you may hit a bit of a snag. You may hit a few roadblocks. And why is that? Because lenders, they don't look at your gross income. They look at your net after all the deductions, the reason you're self-employed to begin with. If you're writing off business expenses, as you should, the right write-offs, it can make your taxable income look lower on paper. To a lender, that means more risk. And even if you're financially solid, you need to be financially solid in their eyes, not in yours. Here's the good news. There are options for you. Programs like bank statement loans, you use your deposits to show your financial viability. The DSCR loans, the debt service coverage ratio loans, they're fantastic, particularly for investors. And they qualify the property based on cash flow, not your personal income, not your tax returns. If you're looking for more flexibility, you don't want to deal with the tax returns and have your financial life rifled through. Here are some creative financing solutions. You have the owner carryback, where the seller acts as the lender. In this situation, the seller owns the home free and clear, and they carry the note for you. They act as the lender, carrying all or part of the purchase price for a number of years, right? I'm seeing 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, usually amortized over a 30-year period. And then a balloon payment is due at the end, at which you can either sell the property, refinance the property, or get a loan for that balloon payment. The lease purchase, where you rent the property with the option to buy it later, often with part of your rent applied towards the purchase price. There's also the exact wrap, where the seller has an existing mortgage, wraps the balance into a new loan for you. Um, Usually there's, a conventional loan that's on the property when this is done. They're keeping the underlying financing, but they agreed to new terms, and there's a third party who's collecting the payments and distributing it, so everything stays on the up and up. These creative strategies, they open doors for buyers who might not fit traditional lending models, and they're perfectly legal, perfectly viable tools when done correctly. And yes, if you want to see like that looks like for you, we can certainly go over that in that free 15-minute strategy call. And we'll walk you through what's possible based on your goals and based on your budget. For the veterans out there, let's talk about one of my favorite programs, the VA Home Loan. If you are a veteran, an active duty service member, or an eligible surviving spouse, your VA home loan is one of the most powerful tools in real estate. Here's what many veterans do not realize: you can use your VA benefit more than once. Yes, yes, it's true. And you can even have more than one VA loan at a time, depending on your entitlement and loan limits. Now, the VA loan offers a zero down program, right? So you're not putting money down payment. You already paid with the service that you've done to this country. There's no mortgage insurance. You have competitive interest rates and little more lenient credit standards. It's not a one-time benefit. It is a lifelong advantage. And here's something even more interesting. If you sell your current home and another buyer is VA eligible, they can assume your existing low VA loan with VA approval. That can make your home incredibly attractive when you're ready to sell. So if you're a veteran thinking about your next move, or maybe retiring from service and relocating to Arizona, this market gives you more leverage than ever. For those buyers that are relocating, let's talk about the wave of people relocating to Arizona. Okay. Yes, they're coming from various states like California, Texas, Illinois, Washington, New York, New Jersey. The cost of living here is still significantly lower than many coastal states, and we're adding jobs at one of the fastest rates in the country. Let's look at just a few examples, right? What are those jobs that are coming? You may have heard of TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, bringing thousands of direct jobs and more construction and supplier jobs to the Northwest Phoenix area. How about Intel, who is expanding at its Ocotillo campus in Chandler, with many new high-paying positions being made available? Or Lucid Motors in Casa Grande, expected to add thousands of jobs again as production scales up. Let's talk about Nikola, Amazon, LG Energy Solutions, Amcor Technology, all growing their Arizona presence with significant hiring in logistics, clean energy, and advanced manufacturing. And, it's not all about jobs, 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 although that is important, right? It's about lifestyle as well. We're seeing new shopping and entertainment districts spring up, right? Like a phoenix. Westgate's in Glendale, Arizona, continues to expand. Queen Creek Marketplace and Verado's Main Street, yes, on opposite ends of town, but they both offer that small town charm with big city convenience. Then you have areas like Scottsdale Quarter, downtown Gilbert, Tempe Town Lake. They remain magnets for dining and nightlife. So we're seeing infrastructure is really expanding, is booming. Road constructions like the I-10 expansion, the Loop 303, I-17 flex lanes for those heading up north, all preparing for continued population growth. Plus, Arizona hosts many events and festivals throughout the year, like the Taco Festival at the Salt River Fields last weekend, or from Waste Management's Phoenix Open for those golf enthusiasts, the Merritt Jackson Auto Auction that's actually happening now. I believe we have one in the spring and now in the fall. Then we have the Cactus League spring training as well, the Tucson Gem Show, Arizona State Fair, dozens of food, art, and cultural festivals across the state. Arizona isn't just a place to move, it's a place to live well, work smart, and build wealth through real estate, right? Again, if you're relocating, I'd love to invite you to schedule a free 15-minute consultation, and we'll look at where jobs are growing, what communities fit your lifestyle, your needs, and what financing options make the most sense for your move. Finally, let's talk about our retirees and those downsizing, one of Arizona's most vibrant buyer groups. Our state is home to some of the best healthcare systems in the country, including, you may have heard of it, the Mayo Clinic, Banner Health, Honor Health, Dignity Health, plus dozens of specialty centers catering to senior wellness and rehabilitation. We have incredible 55 plus active adult communities from Sun City to Pebble Creek to Trilogy, Victory at Verado, and Encantera, each offering resort style amenities, golf, fitness, social programs designed for an active lifestyle. And for those looking to make the most of their equity, the HECM for purchase, yes, the home equity conversion mortgage allows seniors 62 or older to buy a home with no required monthly mortgage payment using a reverse mortgage structure. Now, it's a powerful tool. Not everyone is a fan, and it has been revamped in recent years. And if you're looking to right size without tying up all of your cash, that could be a good option. So whether you're selling the family home or you're buying a forever home or helping parents relocate closer to care and to community, there's a strategy that is designed for you. There's no one size fits all loan, no one size fits all plan. It's about matching your goals with the right strategy. So if you'd like to explore what that looks like for you, whether you're self-employed, whether you're a veteran, relocating, or retiring, I will offer, again, that free 15-minute consultation, and we'll review your financial picture, your real estate goals, and your timeline so you can move forward confidently and strategically. Now, without further ado, we also want to discuss here today some common mistakes that home buyers make and how you can avoid them. These are pitfalls that cost time, money, and could even cost you your dream home. And the good news is every single one of them is preventable. Mistake number one, waiting for the perfect market. Let's start with the biggest myth of all, the perfect timing, perfect market. Here's the truth. There is no perfect market. If you're waiting for interest rates to drop and prices to fall or inventory to rise all at the same time, that perfect storm, you'll be waiting forever. The market is always shifting, and what matters most isn't the timing, but time in the market. When you buy strategically, you can always refinance later. But you cannot go back and get last year's prices. Prices from last year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The best time to buy is when it makes sense for your life, not the headlines. Mistake number two is skipping that pre-approval. That letter you got in the mail that says that you can buy to $5 million, that is not a pre-approval. That is an advertisement to get their phone to ring. This one, it hurts a lot of buyers, right? You go out, you're driving around, you're looking at neighborhoods, you're going into open houses, and you have no idea what your purchasing power is. And that could lead to disappointment when you find the home that you love and find out that it is out of reach. A strong pre-approval gives you a clear picture of what you can afford, what your payments will look like, and what loan programs are available to you, which ones fit you best. It also makes your offer more competitive. Sellers take you seriously when you come prepared. Think of pre-approval as your permission slip to shop with confidence. Mistake three, not knowing your budget. Many buyers, they focus on the monthly payment and the payment alone, right? It's not a car. So I invite you to think a little differently. Forget to factor in all other costs, like property taxes, homeowners insurance, homeowners association fees, maintenance of the property, utilities, future upgrades. Before you fall in love with the home, know what you're truly comfortable spending each month. Your lender can help you with these numbers, and ultimately, it's about matching your lifestyle and your goals to a payment that you feel good about, a payment you can sleep at night. Mistake four, skipping the due diligence period. The due diligence period, the inspection period, is one of the most crucial parts of the home buying process. It's about much more than just the physical inspection of the home. I was speaking to a potential buyer the other day, and they thought that the lender will do the inspection for them. And no. An inspection should be done by an independent party, right? Not your dad or your mom or your uncle, but someone who's qualified and at looking at the home with a fine-tooth comb, looking over the structural integrity and the major components of the property. So, yes, you will want to hire a licensed home inspector. It is not mandatory in buying a home, but it is strongly suggested. It is your opportunity to see what it is that you're buying. The home inspector will check the property structure, its systems, and check for safety. But this is also your time to investigate everything else that matters to you in regards to a home purchase. It's your time to check the noise levels. Is it in a flood zone? Crime rates, your commute to work, to school, or whatever other things that are a part of your lifestyle. Access to medical care, school ratings, flight paths. What is your commute to the airport? If that's a part of your process. You can also use this time to research local amenities, future development plans, and just the neighborhood vibes. You're not buying the house alone, you're buying into a community. Take that time to make sure it fits. Another common surprise, mistake number 5, is the closing costs. Many buyers budget for the down payment and then forget about closing costs, which could include lender fees, title and escrow fees, prepaid taxes, prepaid insurance. And that can be, 2 to 4% of the purchase price. The good news is, in today's market, sellers are often willing to cover some or even all of these costs through seller concessions. I mentioned this earlier. And that's part of what we mean when we say buyers have leverage again. The key is knowing what to ask for and having an experienced agent, a knowledgeable agent, negotiate those things for you. And our final mistake for tonight is not having the right agent in your corner. And it really is a big one. This is more than just anyone who opens a door. That's not what I'm talking about. You need an advocate who understands the market, knows how to negotiate, and will protect your interests from beginning to end. A good agent will help you understand local market trends, connect you with trusted lenders, inspectors, and other contractors, and guide you through every step of the process with confidence. Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions the average American makes. Don't do it alone. Make sure you have a professional in your corner who's committed to your success. If you're ready to take that next step, whether it's getting pre approved, exploring neighborhoods, or just asking questions, maybe your question wasn't addressed tonight, and that's perfectly okay. Let's chat during that consultation. No pressure, no obligation, just guidance to help you move forward with some clarity. So tonight, we covered a lot. We've been talking for a while now, right? From the current Arizona market shift to how buyers have leverage in today's market to strategies to help you buy smarter. Remember that prices have leveled off. We're not seeing the levels of appreciation that we have seen in 2019 through 2022, really. We're seeing an increase in foreclosure activity because the moratoriums have lifted, but we are nothing like 2008. Sellers are more flexible on terms, and you as a home buyer have choices again, both existing homes and new construction. So, what do we go from here? What are our next steps? Well, feel free to click the link in the chat to schedule that free home buyer session. We'll go over your goals, financing options, and I'll help you build that personalized plan so you can move forward confidently. And outside of that, I just want to thank you for spending some time here with me today. Buying a home, it's a big step, but it's also one that can be very rewarding. And with the right plan, it is completely within reach. Let's see if we have any questions tonight with everything that we have reviewed. Let's see, a few different. And if not, again, you can always make sure I have this here in the chat for you guys. No, we're not putting anybody in timeout. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Okay, there we go. To book that consultation, you can feel free to check out that Calendly link there. And outside of that, folks, I thank you very much for joining tonight. I understand that your time is valuable, and I do hope that you learned something. I'll also put my direct number in the chat. Feel free to call or text with any real estate related questions. All right, and without further ado, I wish you a good night. Now, just before we go, let you know that we do these every week, Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. We cover a different real estate topic. Sometimes I'm flying solo. Sometimes there's a lender or insurance person or someone else within the real estate industry that joins me so that we can keep things lively and keep you informed about things related to our industry. So if you have a topic that you would like to review, then feel free to reach out to me and I'll see if that's something that we can cover in depth. All right. Well, until next week, ta-ta for now.